Welcome back, everybody. This is our next module for our Excelling with Excel program, and we're going to be focusing on how to build a spreadsheet. This is probably going to be our longest module for the afternoon. There's quite a few things that I'll be covering on how to build a spreadsheet. But what I would ask is that if you find anything confusing on how to build a spreadsheet, please know that you can certainly go back and rewind and rewatch this video. And there's also thousands of videos available on YouTube to help you with this. But this is a basic spreadsheet that I think will probably best fit the needs of our particular school, as opposed to some of the other videos that you'll see out there are focusing on more accounting type things, which of course is understandable, but this will be directly for our particular school. Okay, so I'm going to get out of our PowerPoint as usual, and I'm going to go ahead and go to a blank Excel sheet. Well, this is our Excel sheet from last time. So I'm just going to hit File. If you ever want to go to a new one, I'm going to hit File, and then I'm going to hit New. And one thing I want you to notice also, I'm going to go to a blank workbook, but if you ever want to have a pre-done Excel file, you can certainly look on these different options that you have here that are certainly much prettier. Excel does have the capacity to do scheduling and graphing and things of that nature. Typically, we're not using that, but it does have the capacity to do that. So I'm going to go back up and go to our blank workbook. So whenever I make a data sheet for any of the grade levels, this is typically what our blank sheet is going to look like. Each one of these little squares here, or rectangles, I should say, is considered a cell. And depending on what you put in each cell, you can either put in a letter or a number or a date or a name. If you put in a number, that information can then be calculated in some way and categorized and sorted and different things like that. So before you start your Excel spreadsheet, really what I usually sit down and figure out is, well, what do I need to include on that spreadsheet? How do I want it to look, and what information do I need to include? So, for example, when we're doing our math unit test, for example, well, I'm going to need to have a cell for every question that we're looking at. So the first thing I would do is, typically, I would come up with the name of this particular spreadsheet. So I'm going to put the name in the very first cell. So I'm going to call this the Math 2017 End of Year Benchmark. And you'll notice right now that the first cell is overtaking the other cells. Well, this is not going to work for me, because then when I try to enter information in the other cells, it's going to be a problem. So what I need to do is I have two options. I can either make the first cell bigger by coming to this gray line right here and stretching it over so it's that large and it's not overtaking any other cells. The other option is, while I'm in that cell itself, I'm going to right click, and then I'm going to come down to where it says Format Cells, and I want to go where it says Alignment. And what I'm going to do is click on Wrap Text, which means it is literally going to wrap the text around to make sure it fits in the cell. So let me show you an example. If I made this cell smaller, you'll see how the text will wrap. Okay, now you'll say, oh no, it disappeared. No, it didn't. It just means that it needs to be longer. See? And there it is. All right, now I'm going to go ahead and make this a little bit bigger because I know in addition to the title here, I'm going to need the students' names, but I don't like the way this title looks. It's not very pretty. It's not centered. So the first thing I'm going to do is come up here to the top, and I'm going to center it by pressing this box right here. So let me just make sure you can see. Okay, so I'm pressing this box right here. And yes, it centered things in one respect, but I think it would look better like this. So I'm going to do that. So I decided to center in this way. Okay. So the next thing we're going to do is I'm going to put what I want in the first column here. And so I'm going to put student names. So I can enter that right there. And then what I would do is just start, for you guys, I wouldn't necessarily put the names in there because each of you are going to have your own particular students. But that is certainly a way that I could start. But now that I rethink it, I really can't put the student names in there yet. The first thing I need to do is put the SOL. So I'm going to put SOL. And then the next thing I need to put is blooms. Because those are the two things we need to take a look at. Maybe I'll even, because it's not necessarily, we would put type of question. Type of question. All right. So now what I need to do is, that looks all well and good, but I want to make sure that I have lines so that, because right now if I printed this, it would look just like a Word document and there would be no lines at all. So what I want to do is I'm going to highlight everywhere I want to have lines. So I'm just going to come across the page and highlight as many boxes as I think I'm going to need. And I'm going to come up here to where it says all borders, and I'm going to click all borders. Oops, I must have let go of my mouse. So sorry. Let me go back and do it again. Doo-doo. All right, up to the first area. Black plus. Sorry, ignore. Okay. Highlight all areas. Oh, I'm holding the left mouse. I should tell you that. Holding left mouse and dragging, clicking my grid. There we go. So now I have my grid, and I want to ensure that the SOL number and the type of question, or the blooms, stands out in comparison to the other cells. So what I can do, I have two options. If you ever want to color in an entire cell, you have the option of clicking on the number and then clicking to color it in. But I'm going to warn you in doing that. If you click on the number and then click on the color, you will color in every cell in that spreadsheet, that color. And remember, a spreadsheet will hold 16,000 columns and 1,000,000 rows. So right now, I just colored in 16,000 of those little squares yellow. And although you can do it this way, when you go to print, sometimes if you don't have your printer set right for only printing the active cells that you're working on, you will wind up with oodles of pages of just a yellow stripe. So instead, what I would recommend I'm going to hit the back key to remove what I just did, is I would highlight, so you're going to enter the box that you want to work on, you're left clicking and pulling across to the area that you want to highlight. I would highlight all that area and then hit your color. Now, if I move across here, you'll see that that yellow line does not extend past the area that I highlighted. I would recommend that you use that instead. All right. The next thing I want to do is I'm going to change the color as well in type of question. I'm so sorry. My mouse on my laptop computer at home is extremely sensitive, and that's why it's increasing the size of things. So, all right. So now what I'm going to do is do the same thing, left click, pull my box all the way across, change my area to something, a different color. Maybe we'll do peach here. And now that should certainly stick out for us that that is something different that we're looking at. All right. Another thing that we need to look at here, hold on one second. I'm just going to apologize for the disruption. I've been notified that my phone will be running out of juice soon. Okay, there we go. All right. Another thing, oops, close. Sorry, I plugged in my phone and this is what we get. Come back, Excel file that we were just working on. There we go. Okay. So the other thing that we can do here is, let's say I want to make those boxes nice and bold, because right now, yeah, the colors are helping, but I want to make it nice and bold. So what I can do is highlight the box all the way around the box that I want. So again, I'm going to click on the first one, I'm going to left click, and I'm going to pull it all the way over. And then what I'm going to do is go up here, and on the drop down menu, I'm going to choose thick outside border. And now what you'll notice is I have a nice dark line around the type of question. And if I want to do that again on the top, I can, oh, so sensitive. Okay, left click. Sorry, it's being temperamental. Left click and slide all the way across, and again drop down, thick outside border. Okay, I think that looks much better. All right, also it is a title, so if I want to, I can go back. So sorry again. Okay, I can go back over here, I can click on that cell, and I can go up on the top and click bold. This is very similar to things that you would do in Microsoft Word. Click bold, click bold. All right, so now that definitely stands out, and here's where you would type in your different students' names. Okay, so there we go. All right, so on the top here, I might say this is SOL 2.5, and the type of question is a FB, which is fill in the blank. Now you might notice again, look, I've got one cell that's left justified, I've got another one here that's right justified. I want them centered, so I'm going to highlight both of them. And I'm going to hit center up on the top here and center here. Okay, so this is centering it in the middle of the cell, and this is centering it. So how can I explain this? It's just centering it horizontally and vertically. So now that's the way I would like it to look. So it's all fixed. One of the options I can do is I can highlight all of the remaining cells. Okay, so I'm going to click and highlight all of those remaining cells that are going to be the same way, and then I'm going to click center and center, and now I won't have to do it for each of them. now it will automatically be done for me. So, well, it wouldn't be 3.5, so let's do 2.5 again, and this one's going to be a short answer. Okay, but you'll notice it wasn't right. One number wasn't all the way to the right and one number all the way to the left. They're all perfect now because I made sure when I highlighted all of the cells, they were all set up like that. So the next thing I'm going to do is, let's say I want to add what the exact SOL is right here, but it is far too long to add the whole thing in here horizontally. My page would be pages and pages and pages long. And I don't want the column to be so wide. So instead of writing the SOL horizontally, let's write it vertically. So what's that going to look like? So here's what we're going to do. I am the SOL that Jen wants in this cell. Okay, so imagine that's the SOL. Well, as you can see, it's taking up, that's how wide that cell would have to be to fit all of that. Who wants to do that? That's way too wide of a cell when we're only entering zeros and ones. So I'm going to go to this cell, and I'm going to right click, and I'm going to go where it says Format Cells. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to tell the text, instead of going horizontally, I'm going to move it to go vertically. And I'm going to click OK. And now you'll notice that it has certainly moved, but we can't see it all. So I need to come over here between the 1 and 2 and pull this down a little bit and see, oh, you know what? I really don't want to have that much that I have to pull down. And there's plenty of room here. So let's go back and let's format again. And now let's have it wrap the text. And let's see if that will work. So I'm going to wrap the text. Aha! So now I can see everything in there. But you know what? It's not centered. Don't like it when it's not centered. So I'm going to come up here, center, and center. And there we go. So now I have the SOL in there. And what you can do is, if you have the same SOL multiple times, which on this one is 2.5 as well, I can copy. So I'm going to click on the cell. I'm going to right click and hit copy. I'm going to click the cell that I want it to. I'm going to right click and I'm going to hit paste. And there we go. And now I have that same information on the next cell. All right. So now we have the basic look for our spreadsheet. Really what people want to know about is, well, how do you do the formulas? Well, we don't have enough time to do an entire class worth of formulas, so we're just going to keep to having 3 students here, and I'll show you how we do the formulas. All right. First, let me say that there are many, many formulas that you can do in Excel, and I am certainly not showing you all of them. To be honest with you, I haven't learned all of them. I only use the ones that I know very well and that I think are relevant to us here. So what I'm going to do,